Good evening on World News Tonight. Tensions in Iran. Protests in Iran escalating as the US moving troops out of military bases to the Middle East amidst rising tensions. Greenland talks. Trump has made clear he is not backing down from his bid to take control of Greenland as talks continue. Grandpa rescued. Grandpa on a mission as he spots two baby twins in the middle of a busy highway. Good evening. We wish all who are celebrating a happy Thai Pongal. Thank you for joining us on World News Tonight on other Derana News channel. I'm Amasha Fernando and we start with the US moving hundreds of troops out of military bases in the Middle East as it warns Iran of incoming action.
Not many videos are making it out of Iran, but this news broadcast was sent far and wide. A small pro-government rally outside the British Embassy, taking aim at the US and its allies, and taunting Donald Trump over his near assassination. In Washington, the president had been threatening severe consequences if the Iranian regime continued killing its own citizens, especially in state-ordered execution.
Now you're telling me about hanging. We'll see how that works out for them. It's not going to work out good.
But today, a change of heart.
They told me that there'll be no executions.
At face value, Donald Trump suggesting he's now watching and waiting.
We've been told on good authority, and I hope it's true. Who knows, right? Who knows?
We've seen the body bags.
26-year-old Irfan Sultani was due to be the first execution. Today, that didn't go ahead. But Iran's judiciary chief is warning those facing the death penalty will be dealt with promptly. If we want to do something, we need to do it quickly, he says. Behind the scenes, the military's on the move. In Qatar, hundreds of non-essential US and British personnel are being moved from the biggest American base in the Middle East. On the streets of Iran, protests are dwindling. A communication blackout extended, but the recordings tell of a brutal week, where not even hospitals proved a safe refuge for the injured. Iran's foreign affairs minister, though, claiming terrorists encouraged the protests.
Fighting against terrorists and not with the protesters. It was completely a different story.
The government on edge, temporarily closing the country's airspace without explanation.
The security situation could deteriorate rapidly. This may result in airspace closures, flight cancellations, and other travel disruptions.
The number of dead is still unclear, but thought to be in the thousands.
US President Trump has made it clear that he is not backing down from his bid to take control of Greenland, saying he still believes that something will work out and that Denmark cannot be relied upon to protect the island.
President Donald Trump says he's not backing away from the idea of acquiring Greenland, telling reporters Wednesday that he is not going to give up options and that he believes something will work out. Trump made the remarks in the Oval Office during an unrelated event just hours after the Denmark and Greenland held talks in Washington with Vice President J.D. Vance and Secretary of State Marco Rubio. The meetings were aimed at managing rising tensions over the future of the Arctic territory, which is a semi-autonomous part of Denmark and a member of the NATO alliance. When pressed by reporters, Trump declined to say whether he is considering the use of force to take control of Greenland. However, he again argued that the United States has a strong national security interest in the island.
I'm not going to give up options, but it's very important. Greenland is very important for the national security, including of Denmark.
He described Greenland as vital to America's Golden Dome missile defense program, which is designed to track and intercept long-range missile threats. Trump also said that U.S. control of Greenland will strengthen American security in the Arctic, a region that is becoming increasingly important as global competition intensifies. Denmark has firmly rejected Trump's position. Danish Foreign Minister Lars Løkke Rasmussen said Wednesday that the U.S. president has made his view clear and that the two sides have a different position.
The discussions focus on how to ensure the long-term security in Greenland. And here our perspectives continue to differ, I must say. The president has made his view clear, and we have a different position.
He stressed that Greenland's future must be decided by Greenland and Denmark, not by outside pressure from Washington. However, the Danish foreign minister said the two sides have agreed to set up a high-level working group that will meet in the coming weeks to see whether a common path forward can be found.
Anthony Albanese's hopes of passing his hate speech laws have suffered a blow, with both the coalitions and the Greens threatening to withhold support.
A fight back filmed on phone.
This bill is an attack on our basic democratic freedoms.
This will be a body in Canberra that will be deciding whether I've made a hate statement or whether I haven't.
Now goes mainstream.
The opposition will continue to scrutinise this legislation carefully, but from what we have seen so far, it looks pretty unsalvageable.
After a meeting of Liberal leaders, the hope for a bipartisan response to the Bondi attack seems over.
And it doesn't address the rise of anti-Semitism and the associated terrorist threat in Australia.
Serious concerns around whether or not they go too far in terms of freedom of speech.
It goes too far, some have said, others are saying it hasn't gone far enough. What I say is that this is a moment for national unity.
The laws will sail through the lower house due to Labor's majority, but in the upper house, with One Nation voting no, if the coalition also oppose the bill, the government will need the Greens to pass the laws. But the Greens want more protection for more people.
If we have to tackle hate, it has to be in all its forms, and racism also in all its forms.
We were open to amendments from across the parliament or suggestions that were made.
The Greens also demanding protections for demonstrations against nations.
Whether that's the actions of Australia or China or Russia or Israel.
Jewish groups tonight urging the laws to pass.
If this bill fails to pass, it will be a retrograde step for Australia.
It's important. We know why it's important.
On the final day, President Lee Jae-myung met Koreans residing there. He thanked them for their dedication and help when the nation was going through hardship, including the recent martial law incident, as he wrapped up his 2-day state visit to Japan.
A message of gratitude was prominent as the president met Koreans living in Japan's Kansai region before heading home on Wednesday. President Lee Jae-myung noted the ancient village of Asakamura in Nara and the trace of people who migrated to the Japanese archipelago from the Korean peninsula in ancient times called Torijin. The event was joined by some 270 people, including the bereaved families of the Jeju April 3rd killing incident, and ethnic Koreans from Utoro, a small village in Kyoto Prefecture, where Koreans began to live after laborers from Korea were brought to build an airfield during Japan's colonial rule. President Lee apologized to them for what they had to go through and noted their fight against racism and efforts to defend identity. He also vowed to put greater efforts in taking care of them, saying that the Koreatown in Osaka represents solidarity among people in Korea and Japan.
At least 32 people were killed after a construction crane collapsed onto a passing train in northeastern Thailand, causing a derailment and fire, and investigations have been launched.
Dozens of people have died after a train derailment in northeastern Thailand. The accident happened on Wednesday after a construction crane fell on 2 of its carriages. This eyewitness says he saw one of the carriages split in half and that he helped rescue people. Thai Prime Minister Anutin Charnvirakul visited the site of the accident, which is about 140 miles northeast the Thai capital, Bangkok. He's called for an official investigation and told the State Railways of Thailand to provide good compensation for the relatives of the deceased. Government officials say there were 195 people on board. The crane was working on a high-speed rail project when it collapsed and hit the passing train, causing it to derail and briefly catch fire. Images from the scene show overturned carriages and firefighters battling flames as smoke billowed. The elevated line under construction is part of Thailand's planned high-speed rail network, which is being built above existing tracks. The line is part of a wider cross-country high-speed rail network project that will connect to China through Laos. The Italian-Thai company that was contracted to build the rail segment has expressed regret for the accident. It also said it would provide compensation and relief to families of the casualties.
Let's go in for a short commercial break. More world news coming right after this. Welcome back. Protesters clashed with federal law enforcement in Minneapolis. The tension due to ICE operations have intensified among civilians following the fatal shooting of Renee Good.
Protesters shouting and blowing whistles outside a hotel where they believe ICE officers are staying. And here, a woman being violently pulled from her car, telling officers she's trying to get to the doctor. DHS says she was purposely blocking officers and arrested for obstruction. Dramatic clashes in the week since the shooting death of Renee Good.
Get out of the car.
DHS says the officer acted in self-defense. And tonight, a DHS official telling ICE officer Jonathan Ross suffered internal bleeding to the torso. In a new statement, Good's family calling her a beautiful light.
The mission coming into Minneapolis was to get the worst of the worst. I can tell you one thing. Renee Good was the best of the best. What was it that caused that officer to go from 0 to 100 and shoot at her in a moving vehicle?
Some Democrats now calling for ICE to be defunded.
Our caucus members will oppose all funding for immigration enforcement in any appropriation bills until meaningful reforms.
While DHS says amid protests they are still enforcing immigration law, touting 2,400 arrests over several weeks, including suspects convicted of rape, sexual assault of a child, and homicide.
Italy's Prime Minister Giorgia Meloni arrived in Tokyo for a 3-day official visit, during which she is scheduled to meet with her Japanese counterpart Sane Takachi.
Italy's Prime Minister has arrived in Tokyo for a 3-day official visit, marking a significant moment in diplomatic relations between Italy and Japan. The visit coincides with the 160th anniversary of diplomatic ties between the two countries, highlighting a long-standing partnership based on political cooperation, economic engagement, and cultural exchange. During her stay, Prime Minister Meloni is scheduled to meet with her Japanese counterpart Sanae Takaichi. Discussions are expected to focus on strengthening bilateral relations, expanding trade and investment opportunities, and enhancing cooperation in key areas such as technology, defense, and global security. The visit also comes at a time when both countries are seeking to reinforce alliances in the Indo-Pacific and European regions amid evolving geopolitical challenges. Officials say the meeting will explore shared perspectives on international stability, economic resilience, and multilateral cooperation. Prime Minister Meloni's agenda includes high-level talks as well as engagements aimed at deepening people-to-people and cultural connections between the two nations. She's expected to remain in Japan until Saturday, after which she will travel to South Korea, where she is scheduled to hold a summit meeting with the South Korean President Lee Jae-myung, continuing a diplomatic tour in East Asia. The visit underscores Italy's intention to play a more active role in the region, while reaffirming Japan's commitment to strengthening ties with European partners as part of a broader global strategy.
Voters in Vancouver waited in long queues morning after polling materials arrived late at a local voting centre, delaying the start of Uganda's elections.
Voters in Uganda faced delays and uncertainty on Thursday morning after polling materials arrived late at a voting centre in Wampivo, disrupting the scheduled start of the country's elections. Residents began gathering outside the station from early morning, many holding their voter identification documents, expecting the polls to open at 7 a.m. However, the absence of voting machines and ballot boxes forced voters to wait in long queues. Several voters expressed frustration as the delays continued, saying they had been informed voting would begin on time. Election officials later arrived with ballot boxes marked by electoral commissions and began setting up equipment under the watch of security personnel. Some voters said confusion at polling stations worsened by limited voter education, leaving many unclear about procedures and timelines. Despite the delays, many residents remained hopeful they would still be able to cast their votes before polls closed. The election comes at a critical moment for Uganda as President Yoweri Museveni seeks to extend his rule into a fifth decade in power. He is facing a strong challenge from opposition leader Bobi Wine, a popular singer-turned-politician who has mobilized significant support, particularly among young voters. The vote is widely seen as a key test of President Museveni's political strength and his government's ability to manage the electoral process peacefully. Authorities remain on alert amid concerns over potential unrest following recent political tensions and protests in neighboring countries. As polling continues, both domestic and international observers are closely monitoring developments across the country.
The medical evacuation from the space station is underway with 4 astronauts in their spaceship heading back to the Earth, so one of them can receive medical treatment.
Dragon, hatch is closed.
SpaceX copies, hatch closed.
3:29 Eastern this afternoon, Crew 11 boarding their spacecraft for NASA's first ever medical evacuation from the space station. Just after 5 p.m., they pulled away.
Endeavour crew, enjoy the ride home.
Heading home, Americans Zdeněk Hardman and Michael Fink, Japanese astronaut Kamiya Yui, and Russian cosmonaut Oleg Plantonov, leaving a month early after one of them developed what NASA calls a serious medical condition requiring treatment back on Earth.
Our timing of this departure is unexpected, but what was not surprising to me was how well this crew came together as a family to help each other and just take care of each other, and this includes very much our teams on the ground.
NASA won't identify which astronaut or their condition, but does say they remain stable. On Wednesday, Mike Fink handed over command of the space station, leaving American Chris Williams and 2 Russian cosmonauts on the ISS as Crew 11 heads home.
Dragon SpaceX on the big loop. Depart, burn 0 complete.
Veteran astronaut Mike Massimino.
I was shocked when I heard it. We're usually able to handle just about anything in space, but to return a crew early is unusual. It's never happened before.
Time for a short break now. We'll be right back with more world news. And welcome back. John Brittingham was driving his car when he saw 2 toddlers on a busy highway in Cacao Beach, Florida. Brittingham pulled over and waved alert drivers that the twin girls were in the middle of the highway.
Grandpa to the rescue! He's driving his car when he sees 2 toddlers on the busy highway and scoops them into his arms. First one, then the other. John Brittingham was heading down A1A in Cocoa Beach, Florida. This is what Brittingham saw first, the twin girls on a side road. Here they are on another car cam.
They were very difficult to see because they're so small.
Brittingham pulls over and races back. He waves to alert drivers. The girls are now in the middle of the highway. That's when he grabs one, then the other. In slow motion, you can see the second little girl reach out her arms to her rescuer. Brittingham says he found the girl's family at an Airbnb they were staying in. On this day, that granddad expertise really paid off.
The parasailer was flying a power-assisted paraglider about Singer Island when a sudden gust of wind slammed into him, tangling the cords of the chute in the blades of the motor. Brian Vengas plumbed 500 feet into the ocean.
Oh my gosh! Oh my gosh!
We're seeing new video today of the dramatic rescue of a parasailer who plopped down in the water off ritzy Palm Beach.
The parasail boat is about 100 yards off the coast right now.
Just released police body cam footage shows cops racing to the rescue.
911. I just saw someone fall out of the sky. We need paramedics here immediately.
When a sudden gust of wind slammed into him, the cords of the chute became tangled in the blades of the motor, and he plummeted 500 feet into the ocean. A guy who was snorkeling right there swam over and untangled him, keeping him from being dragged under. Lifeguard Sarah Williamson rushed to the scene and helped pull the parasailer from the water.
The man's legs below the surface where we could not see were entangled in the lines, as well as the equipment being on top of him. He was in great condition considering what he had just gone through.
You okay? That's him, identified as 52-year-old Brian Weinglars. He's totally fine, just a little annoyed about losing his phone.
I lost my phone.
In the water?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh! Oh my gosh!
And with that, we come to the end of today's edition of World News Tonight. With the hopes of seeing you again, I'm Marsha Fernando, and we leave you tonight with the visuals of North Macedonian travelers dressing in fun costumes to chase off winter spirits at a carnival. Also, don't forget to send us your feedback through email at feedback.adncenglish@derana.lk or via WhatsApp at 076-805-7933. Thank you for watching World News Tonight on Other Derana News Channel. Have a good night.